continue to fight with the true grit that they're showing, and the Russians are unable to meet their objectives on the ground, you could see Putin growing increasingly frustrated and result in what is traditional Russian warfare, which would be the heavy shelling of civilian areas, aerial bombardments, etc. At that point, the devastation could be so enormous, the civilian deaths so enormous as well, that the moral outcry would compel us to make that move. So I would not take that option off the table. Frankly, I think President Biden and other Western leaders should message that to Putin right now, not to go that way.
For our viewers who might remember, you were ultimately fired by President Trump after he lost the election. Something interesting that came out, ABC News' Jonathan Karl obtained a memo when he was working on his book, Betrayal. It was a memo reportedly circulating around the White House in October of 2020, penned by Johnny McEntee, trying to come up with reasons why Trump would fire you. One of them is very relevant to what's going on today. It said that you, quote, focused the Department of Defense on Russia, directing in last September to sprint at them and to look at every facet of competition with Moscow. So why would your desire to fend off a hostile foreign government like Russia, why would that be seen as a negative within the Trump White House?
I don't know, Jake. I can't explain it. I elaborate a little bit on this in my book, for sure, my memoir. I was clearly focused on Russia. We put more forces into Europe. We had one of the largest exercises ever, a return of forces to Europe during my tenure. And we tried to modernize the United States Army to deal with heavy forces from China and Russia. And of course, I carried through on some of those things as Secretary of Defense. So I don't understand it. I think it's very important that we stand up to autocrats and authoritarian regimes, such as those run by Vladimir Putin and Xi Jinping. And look, at the end of the day, the international order of democracy, as we know it, is under threat. It was just a few weeks ago that Xi Jinping and Vladimir Putin stood side by side, shaking hands, celebrating a new partnership, and issuing a joint communique that talked about the West and all of our alleged failures. And so this is what's at stake right now. And we're seeing it play out in Europe, and we could very well see it play out in Asia. And by the way, it's important to note that I think the inspired leadership of Ukraine and the grit of the Ukrainian people is something that the Taiwanese people should look at. They should be preparing along the same lines to deal with a possible attack by China one day.
So we're out of time, but I do want to let you have a sentence or two just to respond to the fact that your former boss, President Trump, is calling Vladimir Putin a genius.
Vladimir Putin is a ruthless autocrat that we need to deal with strength and resolve, and we do that with our allies and partners. That's one of the things I tried to emphasize during my time. Ultimately, at the end of the day, that's the way we will get him to stand down. And quite frankly, I think this is going to be a strategic failure, and we could see him be forced out of office if this goes the wrong way or the right way, whichever way you look at it. We could see him forced out of office, which would be a good thing.
Former Defense Secretary Mark Esper, I know you have a lot more you want to talk about. You're saving a lot of it for your book, and we'll have you back to talk about that. Appreciate it. It's a sacred oath. It's coming out in May.